We had some technical difficulties earlier, so I wanted to bring us back to this point. Let us know if you can hear me.
In English. The motherfucking language you're motherfucking supposed to be conscious of. You speaking Madu now. Huh? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. That's why y'all niggas stuck on stupid. And these niggas, them just like the genie in the lamp. Mufishi, Fudishi. My bad.
Let me get this. It's about to go down, family. Don't get this shit fucked up. You better go on the link and get your motherfucking. You better go on the link and get your goddamn live stream tape. See, when they try to fuck up the venue, thinking they're gonna stop this information, nigga, we put it on the wall. We put it on the wall.
Bigger than and better. This shit better than what the motherfucking venue we was gonna have it at. Better. You a silly ass nigga. Oh man, I swear to God, you was an old dumb fucking nigga. And still we prevail. Ain't that a bit? Y'all done threw the whole mother, y'all threw the Empire State Building out our ass. We still up top, baby. We see you walking through that nigga with that, you like a lost soul. Nigga soul missing. That's a shame.
That's right. So family, without further ado, we getting this shit together. We getting ready to start. All right. Get your, if you want the tickets, they in the motherfucking, the link is in the motherfucking comments, family.
Damn, I gotta get that. You know what? I'm gonna bring this shit up too. I ain't gonna
Let me tell everybody go in the comments in the chat. Let me know if y'all hear an echo.
Here you go.
Let me make sure y'all ain't hearing no echo.
I was looking for that. I sure was. I was looking for you. That knowledge, I was looking for you, baby.
Hope y'all got this live stream because once they go live, I'm cutting this off.
Yeah,
yeah, this the preliminary.
The link is in my is on my page, man. Y'all know what to do.
They know damn well they ain't teaching like this. They know damn well they ain't dropping no knowledge like this.
Let's go. We going to woo!
February the 5th, Dallas, Texas. Sarah Susan said it. Young Pharaoh, SOS, BPC, Gorilla Mainframe, baby.
Now all I got to do, all I got to do is plug up some charge. Everybody got their shit.
Of the Everybody
shit
in Texas, February the 5th.
Don't start calling me now.
What you do with them charges?
Don't start calling me. Stay there.
No, he brought them in.
Oh, that's canoe.
What you need?
A charge.
What up, guys, son?
I got my charge.
No, didn't you bring in 2 pink chargers?
Yeah, man.
I mean 2 chargers. I brought them in. Let me see what the fuck I did with them.
Oh, canoe, you already know, baby.
What's up, family?
Yeah, you already, man. You know we've been going through some trials.
If you got that live stream, let me get a black power.
You know, yeah, but you know we have Pharaohs now. We about to go live on the live stream. You
want the live stream?
You want to check it out? Well, y'all don't know how much work we put into. How can you give my man Canoe on the
Small. I gotta refocus. Go to the beginning. Go to your very first PowerPoint with them yellow words.
Okay, we go right here.
Okay, let me see. All right, now go to something with small text. They ain't gonna be. They might not. Okay, all right.
Well, y'all ain't got this.
They might can't see all.
No, that's all right. Y'all ain't gonna need this just to show you what the Greek look like. So I mean, we ain't gonna be reading it because ain't no motherfucker in here reading Greek. Even though one of them weak ass niggas say he can speak Greek, motherfucker can't even. Nigga need to speak Ebonics. Motherfucker speaking all these fucked up languages.
All right, we good. Here we go. We about to start. Please. All right, we good. Go back. You said it's good? Yeah. Let me make you got it. Is how you want it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah. All right, go to your first slide. I'm gonna get this in there.
At the bottom. This is Demotic, which stolen languages, he just told us, was a trade language. This language at the top could only be spoken by the priests. Okay, now, when you go to the bottom of this stone, it supposedly said that all 3 scripts said the same thing. But what we do know that the Greeks could not speak ancient Egyptian. So if it said the same thing, how the fuck could they prove it when they couldn't speak ancient Egyptian? They couldn't prove it, okay? And since our ancestors knew the Greeks couldn't speak the ancient language, they had no reason to disclose any mysteries in the stone to anybody, because nobody could prove what it said in the first place. One thing that should be said up front is that Champollion the Frenchman or faggot was a Freemason. He never went to Egypt before he created the alphabet. Never went to Egypt. He created the alphabet in his attic, okay? Without ever talking to an African. He was an Orientalist. He was a Freemason. You can see him right there with his hand in his coat. So we looking at all the prejudices, all the biases that these crackers had on our people. And at that time, before he became an Egyptologist, he was an Orientalist. What is an Orientalist? Those who study from the biblical aspect that all of humanity, civilization came out of Asia. And that's why when you go and listen to me, you go into all these books on history dealing with Egypt, they always try to synchronize Egypt with the founding of Mesopotamia and say that the Mesopotamians started ancient Egypt. First and foremost, that's biblical. That's biblical. They cut the history of Egypt damn near by 9/10 of what it really is, okay, to synchronize it with the Bible. And that's one of the primary reasons why they created the Mesopotamia. You got some shit talking about the Israelite stone. You got those so-called Hyksos in the who supposedly conquered Egypt. They call them by Semitic names, Yaakov and all of this. See, they synchronizing, trying to give some credibility to the Bible. Why is that? Because these are Orientalists. They are Christians, they are Jews, or every one of these so-called founding Egyptologists are either Jewish, they're Freemasons. Those are prejudices that these niggas speaking the metal letter is not telling you. And those prejudices and those biases play a large part in the way they try to synchronize Egypt with the Bible and with Sumeria. So you see, and so when you're talking about Freemasonry, you got to understand that the foundation of Freemasonry is Kabbalah. That's Jewish. Okay? Why they not telling y'all that? So when you go look up the ancient Egyptian language, you can go look it up right now. They say Afro-Asiatic. Afro-Asiatic language. Because what they call in Coptic is nothing but a break off from Greek, Arabic. That shit ain't got nothing to do with Africa. That's shameful that most of these so-called Egyptologists and these metal letter speakers are talking about Coptic is the last stage of the ancient Egyptian language, which is a goddamn lie. It came out of Lower Kemet, which had been compromised over 1,000 years, okay? It had been conquered by many Asian forces from the so-called Persians. The Persians was in there before the Coptics. The Greeks came and left before the Coptics. Coptic is only synonymous with Christian. Look at this. See? These are the Masons. Champollion Napoleon. Champollion is a Christ figure in Egyptology. Okay? The Freemasons lust to replace ancient Egypt as the most illustrious fraternal order in the world. Okay? Because they knew that the craft was the first fraternal order of Masons, real Masons, not speculative Masons, but the brothers that were truly cutting the stone, really laying the foundations of what a fraternal order is. And not only that, you see right there, the Rothschilds. The Rothschild. You see right there? You see Napoleon, and also a Mason? Also a Mason, and you see Rothschild, who is the head of, who helped found Israel, funded every fucking nation in Europe. This is who they owe their allegiance to. That's who owns the British Museum, who owns the Rosetta Stone, huh? And we're talking about the British Museum is the largest repository of Egyptian artifacts on the planet, with damn near 14 million. Did you hear what I just said? 14 million artifacts from ancient Egypt, even larger than the Cairo Museum. That's a crying shame. That's a crime against all of humanity, African humanity on the planet, for another nation to have that many artifacts belonging to another nation. You see the shield of the Rothschilds. This is right here is in Israel. So while you see him in his Masonic pose, it's showing you who he owes his allegiance to. He owes his allegiance to that Ashkenazi Jew. And the Ashkenazi Jew is the owner of Egyptology. They own all of the Egyptology. The Egyptologists were just rock hunters. But when they went over there and retrieved the treasures, when they went over there and retrieved the artifacts, they had to bring it back home to the Rothschilds, who own the British Museum. There again, showing you the Freemasonry of who owns free. These are Rothschilds who believe in Kabbalism, which is the foundation of Freemasonry. Let me go in. Now I got to lay it for you. I got to lay it for you. I got to lay it for you. I want to talk about something. Okay? We're looking at a law, what we call the law of diametric opposites. And when you talk about diametric opposites, you're talking about the two opposing extremes, hot and cold, up and down, left and right. So you're talking about that the European, the Greek, who is a faggot, who's a homosexual, who's a pedophile. This is what y'all talking about. Y'all translated our African script into. This is the language that they say they use to translate our ancestors' sacred language. The language of the freaks. Did you hear what I just said? The Greeks were homosexuals, lesbians, and pedophiles. The Africans worshiped the family, the black family, and the black woman. Greek thought could not accept this, so they carved it off the walls. Okay, so that's showing you. How could they read the Meduna? How could they read our ancestors' script? They abhor, they disdain African thought. And they proved it because when they came in, because they homosexuals, if you go and watch the caveman, he's pulling his woman by the hair. This is something completely opposite to Greek thought. So how in the hell can you take Greek at the bottom of the Rosetta Stone? You can't, it's not even phonetical because we just read where it was a secret language. So you cannot just take a letter and put it on a symbol, which I will show you that. But I'm showing you that we're talking about the extreme opposites. Okay, the African and the Greek are extreme opposites. The African worship, how can the vampire interpret for the children of the sun? Extreme opposite, totally unalike. So you mean to tell me you believe the vampire can come in and interpret for the children of the sun? See, that's
I like the point that the brother City is making here. First of all, he's using a PowerPoint. I noticed that. That just shows you how long ago this presentation was, where he's actually using a PowerPoint present. I mean, actual slides. And so, but I definitely agree with the point that the brother is making. As far as the Greeks making things. So Actually, by the time of the Greeks, everything is basically literal. The meaning of the word has been lost by now. You know, everything is literal. So I can understand how he's arguing that the Greeks aren't able to contextualize Egyptian thought. But I'm gonna let him keep going.
The law of diametric opposite. We have two opposing spirits. Okay? Two opposing spirits. And just like they cannot interpret for us, most African people cannot understand European culture. Don't want to. When you see them touching on as men, touching on the babies, that's something that African people are going to shun totally. So they cannot interpret for us, and neither can we interpret for them. Now look at this. This is a graphic to show you that it's true that we're diametric opposite. The question asks, should society accept homosexuality? Now look at this. You go into Europe, see, the yellow is no, the green is yes. Should society accept homosexuality? You go into Spain, see 88% yes. You go into Germany, 87% yes. You go Czech Republic, 80. France, 77. That's where your Champollion. That's where your Napoleon. Your fucking faggots that y'all calling the founding fathers of Egyptology. Okay, you go into Britain, 76% yes. Italy, 74. Greece, 53. Poland, 42. Russia, 16. Now you come to Africa where it says no, look. South Africa at 61, that's the lowest, and that's because they got some crackers there. But when you go into Kenya, 90% no. Uganda, 90% no. Go to Ghana, 90% no. Senegal, 90% no. Nigeria, 98% no. So you can see we're diametric opposites. Okay? So you think our people would agree with these faggot-ass Medunetta speakers taking Greek, a homosexual language? Our ancestors would turn over in their grave if they would believe we would be so, that's sacrilegious against our ancestors to use Greek, the freaks, and use their language as a means to translate the African language, which we call sacred. Now y'all listen to that. Y'all listen to that. Y'all use Greek, a faggot language, to translate the sacred language of our ancestors. There's something wrong with that. Let me go into this. The polluted Ptolemies. Okay? As we talk about the Ptolemies, this is who they use. The first word ever transliterated in the so-called fake Medunetta was Ptolemy, who was Alexander's lover, a homosexual. Okay, you're talking about a homosexual dynasty, the polluted Ptolemies. The savior of the Medunetta. This was the first, Thomas Young, who came before Champollion. The first word ever transliterated was Ptolemy, where they took this cracker's name and superimposed it on the glyphs of our ancestors and began to create the what they call the hieroglyphic language of today. Look at this cracker. So he is the savior. He is the savior. So I'm gonna show you some things. So who was Napoleon's his idol, his hero? Alexander. This is Napoleon. This is Alexander. This is the Greek freaks. If you ever seen the movie Alexander, Ptolemy was one of his lovers. So remember, when y'all say that the first word transliterated was Ptolemy, you got to understand that these are homosexuals. You see the shit that they partaking in And then you're going to say you translated the language of our African ancestors from this language right here? You opening up the gate for them to enter. That's why they got all these homosexual interpretations in the goddamn Medu Neter. Because when you open it up for the cracker, that's exactly what you're going to get. And these niggas are not protecting you. They're not telling you the truth about this. That Ptolemy, and this is the supposed Greek at the bottom of the stone. And they over here touching on boys, touching on me. Look at Napoleon and Champollion. Look at them. One of the most sissified cultures in all of Europe. Look at this. But you all say y'all don't support LGBT. Y'all don't support homosexuality, but yet and still y'all allow the French faggot Napoleon, which is the John the Baptist of Egyptology, and Champollion, who is the Christ figure. Did you hear what Ankh said? He said if the white boy hadn't deciphered and I'm going to get into the transliteration, I'm going to get into the translation. They all are forms of raping the language. But they say if it wasn't for Champollion deciphering the so-called Medu Neter, we wouldn't have no history of ancient Egypt. Ain't that the same shit they say about the Bible? Y'all got to understand that this is a religion. And that Champollion is not only your Christ figure, he's also your Moses. And the Rosetta Stone is your 10 Commandments. And if it was not for Champollion, what the niggas said, that we wouldn't have no history of ancient Egypt, which is a goddamn lie. He's forcing you, just like the preacher, man. This is what the Medu Neter niggas is doing. They forcing our people to bow down to this peck of wood. The whole of the African world is at his mercy. Because if it be not for this one cracker, not one of us would know our ancient African history. That's a shame. This is a religion. This is a fucking religion. It's no different. And so we had to come out here today and put it on the table for the first time and pull it apart. Because you know what happened? Niggas went into that believing shit. Didn't nobody officially put this shit on the table and pull it apart and really dig down into it. Y'all niggas believed it. Y'all believed it without even doing research. Okay? And I don't care who it was. Dr. Ben, which we will prove, told these niggas that they couldn't speak that shit. He told them. See, Dr. Ben used it as a construct to teach through because he knew for over 200 years, that's all you knew. That's all the world knew. You can't teach. That's just like Africa. If you go to any map in the world, it's going to say Africa. Some niggas going to say, where's some older names? Well, that's not an international name. The international name for the continent is Africa. So if you want a mass understanding, if you want the masses to understand what you're talking about, when you call on the continent, you got to say Africa. You say anything else, nigga, and you're going to lose a mass amount of people. So you have to teach through some constructs at times to get a mass understanding. Look at this. Greek is the mother of the Medu Neter. You got to look at this. They're not telling y'all that. How is these wicked, hideous crackers, how is their language got any constructs that can explain what is going on in Africa? That's a hell of a concept. And y'all didn't pull it apart. I had to pull it apart today. You mean to tell me that this cracker know what it means when we talk about the black woman is God and this motherfucker is in here doing all this hideous, barbaric, backward-ass practices? Let me keep it moving. So we're talking about the possibilities. See, when we went to the stolen legacy, we destroyed the myth that it could be a phonetical language, which means you can't put letters on symbols and render the meanings. That's impossible. You got to have a key. I'm going to show y'all that. You have to have a legend, okay? But in the scope of research, the Greeks are the first 48 hours. Okay, in the scope of
he says you can't put letters on symbols and render a meaning. That's a good point, because when you do that, you lose the meaning of the symbol.
research, the Greeks are the first 48 hours. And if y'all watch 48 hours on TV, what does it say? If you don't get that, if you don't crack that goddamn case in the first 48 hours, what happens? Your chances of cracking the case is cut in half. Okay? You're not allotted forever to do something. You're given an amount of time to do that. Okay, so we're looking at the hourglass. This is the first 48 hours. Okay? And while the Greeks were ruling Egypt from 332 BC, starting with Alexander, okay, to about 30 BC, this was the Greek rule of Egypt. They never produced an Egyptian dictionary. They never produced a bilingual Egyptian dictionary or any form of where you could prove that the Greeks could read Medunata. Okay? So the first 48 hours, which were the Greeks, it went by. And so this is your prime time right here, the Greeks. You know why? Because you are the ruler of Egypt. Okay? You can force the priests to do it. But it was never done, because there's some things, what we just said, the diametric opposite. You cannot translate African into Greek. That's what they ain't telling y'all. It's totally impossible. How the hell you gonna take the sacred, and y'all talking about it's the sacred language? That's critical. How the hell you gonna get something sacred from something vulgar? So what we're showing you, that the first 48 hours, which is from 332 BC to 30 BC, the Greek Ptolemaic rule, they never produced any Egyptian Greek dictionary. Okay? The last 48 hours is the Roman rule, because they took over from the Greeks. Okay? You got Egypt is still living, the language is still living, the priesthood is still functioning. You have access to primary sources. What are primary sources? Sources that you can ask that are going to give you the right information, because it comes from that time period. Once you leave that time period, you lose the opportunity to have access to prime resources. Okay, and we're gonna talk about primary sources, and we're gonna talk about secondary sources when you're doing research. So again, the Romans would have been the last 48 hours. So they ruled from about 30 BC to about 680 BC. So really, the Greek and Roman rule was almost 1,000 years, and they never produced an Egyptian Greek dictionary. So the question is, how the fuck is Champollion gonna come 2,000 years after the fact, after the language is dead? He don't have access to primary sources. Okay? You don't have opportunity for primary verification, because the priesthood is no longer functioning as it did in the ancient world in Egypt. Let me come in. The Romans are the last, but with the end of the Roman rule, over 1,000 years of pollution, okay, destruction, wasteland. Now they might try to come out and say, well, it was a black man and he wasn't no black man. They just trying to say he was a black man who was in Iraq around the 10th century, supposedly deciphered some of the metanatter. How did he do it? Was he initiated in the craft? We go back to the stolen legacy. Was he initiated in the craft? No, he was not. Because one of the rules of the craft, you were forbade to teach any of the information to somebody who was a non-initiate. You had to go through like every other priest. You had to do your 40 years like every other priest. Okay? So how the hell did he decipher any of it if he wasn't initiated? Okay, after that, your time is up. After the Roman rule, after the Greek rule, your time is up, and you have no more access to primary verification. Okay? And so just, you hear people out here talking. The mouthing of the so-called metanatter is not proof that it's been deciphered. Because it can't be deciphered because it's a secret language. It's not a phonetical language. Okay? You can't put a letter on symbols because symbols have meanings that go beyond a letter, and just placing a letter on the symbol is not going to render you the meaning. Okay? Any methodology after the Greeks and Romans is complete speculation and fraudulent conjecture. Okay, let me keep it moving. But the cracker still thinks he can manipulate time. Okay? You cannot go back in time and rewrite history. Okay, so for over 2,000 years, whether you go to the early Greek philosophers, whether it was Thales, whether it was Pythagoras, whether it was Socrates, whether it was Aristotle, okay, whether it was Solomon, whether it was Herodotus, they all said what George M. James said, what Dr. Ben said, that it was a secret language. Only with Thomas Young, only with Champollion did they start to say that the language was not mysterious, that it was phonetical, and that it could be deciphered if you use the Champollion methodology. So over 1,500 years had passed, and Champollion kidnapped. This is something missing out here. So 1,500 years passed where all the great minds of the world taught that it was a secret language. So y'all the motherfuckers who teaching the metanatter are the ones that are rewriting history. Y'all gonna rewrite over 1,500 years of history taught by the greatest minds of Europe? How could that many men be wrong? And this motherfucker come 1,500 years after the fact, no primary verification, no access to the language, no access to the priest, and he's gonna rewrite 1,500 years of history where the white men, the great philosophers teach us that they went to Egypt. Some of them, they say, were initiated. That's another story. We don't believe that, but at least they're telling us the process of how you get the knowledge. Come on, let me keep it moving. Okay, we're going to go into the history of Herodotus. Why do we go to Herodotus? Herodotus is what they call the father of European history. Okay, he's the first European to write in the way that a historian writes today. And so he supposedly went into Egypt around 425 BC. That was at the time where the so-called Persians had conquered Egypt. What does Herodotus say? Listen to this. He said the Egyptians adhere to their own national customs and adopt no foreign usages. So this is a Greek giving it up. He's telling us that our ancestors adopt no foreign usages. So when you say that the Coptics took African language and gave up their own alphabet to accept the Greek language, that's a goddamn lie. No indigenous African would have ever given up their ancestral tongue, their ancestral alphabet for no goddamn Greek. The Coptics were the bastard children of many European tribes, Greek and Roman, who had came and conquered much of Lower Egypt. Dr. Ben always taught that history starts at the beginning of the river, not at the end. So you talking about in Lower Kemet, which have been compromised many thousands of years by the time the Copts came along. The Greeks had came and left before the Copts even came on the scene. The Greeks had came and left. The Romans, the Western Roman Empire came and left. So you got many, when you talk about the Greeks, you're not just talking about one tribe. You're talking about many dialects when you talk about Greek. So when they conquered Egypt, they brought tribes from all over the wasteland, or what today we call Europe. Even the Romans. That's just not one dialect. So when you talk about the Romans conquered Egypt, you're talking about possibly hundreds of dialects of Europeans coming into Egypt, spreading their language, spreading their culture. And so the Coptics is a mixture of all of that. It's not African. Let me read also from Herodotus. The Egyptians disliked adopting Greek customs. Okay then, you hear that? Let me back it up. He said the Egyptians disliked adopting Greek custom, or in a word, those of any other nation. This feeling is almost universal among them. Okay? So our ancestors right there, he's giving it up. He's telling you that we would never have taken the Rosetta Stone. Okay? That's a compromised area. That's Lower Kemet. It was compromised. You don't take nothing like that and use it as a standard. You go back up the river. You go up to Nubia. You go down into Punt. You go down into Uganda and start all over. You go to the mother tongue. You don't go down in Lower Kemet, which have been compromised so many times by foreign conquests. So Coptic is not African. I must say that. It's a tongue similar to Arabic, Greek, Aramaic. It's a foreign Asiatic language. Okay? Let me read it out. It says, the Egyptians dislike adopting Greek customs, or in a word, those of any other nation. This feeling is almost universal among them. That means all of our people. We don't accept no goddamn languages from no crackers and no Asians. We didn't do that, okay? And listen to what he said at the bottom. It says, thus far, I have spoken of Egypt from my own observation, relating what I myself saw, the ideas that I formed, and the results of my own research. What follows rests on the accounts given me by the Egyptians. Hold up. What follows rests on the accounts given me by the Egyptians, which I shall now repeat, adding thereto some particulars which fell under my own notice. So he asked our ancestors, and they told him. Champollion didn't do that. Richard Lipsis, Adolf Ehrman, all of these so-called linguists, they didn't have an opportunity to ask our ancestors anything. So they have no primary verification for anything that they created. They created it 2,000 years after the fact. It's conjecture, it's lies, okay? To seize our ancestors' tongues and to prop up the Bible. Look at what he said. So when you say, thus far I have spoken of the Egyptians from my own observation, you can see these are the priests that put it on the wall. Okay? These are the ones that can give you primary verification. If you don't get it from the priest who put it on the wall, how the hell do you know? You got to quit lying. You got to quit lying. Okay, let me step to this metal now. I'm just getting warm. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. See, the Egyptians dislike adopting Greek customs. In a word, those of any other nation. The feelings is almost universal among them. And I see why they would not adopt Greek customs. Look at this shit. Look at Alexander and Ptolemy, which y'all use the Greek rulers. I'm going to show you that they use the names of the Greek rulers to make the hieroglyphic alphabet. And then you got Fudishi talking about the A come from the vulture when he say, "Oh, you silly man, you." "Oh, the A comes from Alexander's name, you lying ass nigga." I wish we could have had that, because I was gonna front on your ass right there in the front row, nigga. You would tell our babies a goddamn lie like that. Let me keep it moving. Wait a minute. And this is why the Greeks were banned from ancient Egypt until being conquered by the Persians and then finally by the Greeks in Rome. They kept them out. They were banned from Egypt for 5,000 years until conquered by the Persians. So Coptic is a bastard language with a mixture of Greek, Slavic, Persian, Latin, Byzantine, Turkish. This destroys the myth of Coptic being the last stage of the ancient Egyptian language. It ain't even Egyptian. It's Greek. These niggas, because look it up. When you look up the ancient Egyptian language, it's gonna say that it's Afro-Asiatic. And when you look at all the languages that's in the Afro-Asiatic language, you got Aramaic, you got Hebrew, you got Arabic. So a lot of them Egyptologists is not telling you that they use Hebrew, which is Yiddish, which is German, because that was another dead script. So y'all not looking at all these languages that were dead, that these crackers they didn't fix a modern language to give the illusion as if you speaking it. You're not speaking the ancient tongue. Hebrew today, it was no ancient Hebrew, because that script come from Demotic. That's where it come from. Mostly all what you call the Persian, what you call the so-called Canaanites, what you call the Greeks. All of them languages come from Demotic. They just switched the alphabet up a little bit, but that's the mother tongue, the mother alphabet of all them goddamn languages. Okay? Let me keep it moving. Okay, now we're going into the Rosetta Stone by Wallace A. Budge. I'm just getting warmed up, family. Look at this. This is an official document of the British Museum that owns the Rosetta Stone. So I don't want y'all to go get no fraudulent manuscripts. This is an official document from the British Museum. Now listen to this, y'all. I'm gonna fuck y'all up right quick. Let me get some water. Let me get some of that. Wait a minute. I'm just getting started. Fucking them up. They got y'all reading faggot shit. They got y'all niggas out here translating the sacred language. How you gonna get something sacred from something vulgar? I'm gonna break it down to you. Look what he said. Strictly speaking, all the letters of the Egyptian alphabet are consonants, just as are the letters of the Hebrew, Syriac, and Arabic alphabets. In reading the text, the Egyptian reader himself supplied the vowels, and it is for this reason that we shall never know accurately how the Egyptians pronounce their words. That's very critical. I need that, brother. Thank you. That's very critical. I'm going to go over that again. Who is this from? E.A. Wallace. That's a very powerful dagger right there. In reading the text, the Egyptian reader himself supplied the vowel. And it is for this reason that we shall never know accurately how the Egyptians pronounce their word. Now, sometimes you hear Nefer. Ain't no Nefer. All you got is the N, the F, and the R. There is no Nefer. Okay? So you, as a person that speaks English, you can add A, you can add the I, you can add the O, and you can add any vowels in English to your discretion, however you want to add them. It don't have to be Nefer. You can put N, O, F, O, R. Nobody could tell you it's wrong, because it's all wrong. Because you should not be adding no fucking vowels to the Meduna. That right there collapse anything that you niggas is talking about, because it's not supposed to be spoken. Listen to this. In transliterating Egyptian words, I have often added an E as the cops seem to have done. But otherwise, the words are unpronounceable. Now ask yourself this. If cop is ancient Egyptian, and the ancient Egyptian don't use a vowel, and the cop got vowels, how could this be the last day? How could this be ancient Egyptian? What happened? Where the damn languages don't fit. Okay, they got vowels in cop. There's no vowels in ancient Egyptian. Okay, listen again. In translating Egyptian words, I have often added an E, as the cop seem to have done. But otherwise, the words are unpronounceable. Okay? So, how can you define words you cannot pronounce? So if you hear anybody speaking the Medunata, that right there is fraudulent. That right there is fraud. You know what the niggas go see right here where it say Patah Hotel? It's really just PTHHPTP. That's not pronounceable. You added the vowels to say Patah Hotel, but it ain't no Patah Hotel. Now, for instance, take almond. Wait a minute, let me see if I got, is that right there? Oh, I can put this one right here too. Now, see, this is the, it's Shunshat. Okay, there is no Shunshat. Okay, it's only SSNQ. Now, in English, they added not only some vowels, they added some consonants too. They added the H, H-O-H-E, between the S-S and Q, right there. That's the transliteration. You cannot pronounce that, okay? So you got Shunshat in English. This is German. The German got their own vowels, got a different spelling. This is the French, got their own vowels and dialect. This is the Dutch, got their own vowels and dialect. So you can go, if you take 100 languages, you can have at minimum 100 different words for this one transliteration. But because you got 6 vowels in English, you got 17 in French, you got 8 in German. If you add up all of the combinations that you can have in all of them vowel sequences, you can have thousands of words for that one transliteration. You can have thousands of words for that one transliteration. Okay? So this, but it's only one truth. It ain't thousands of goddamn truths. It's only one truth. And you don't even hear it up here. It's our ancestors. Because this is Latin. That's Latin right there. Ain't even no Latin on the stone. So when they transliterated it, they quick to show you the Latin without showing you the Greek. Latin is not on the stone. It's only the glyphs, Demotic, and supposedly Greek. This is Latin. Okay? So they done transliterated it into a language that's not on the stone. Let me fuck you up. I'm not done. Not done. Let me go right here. They took the names of homosexuals and faggots of the Greek dynasty to make the hieroglyphic alphabet. So you see right here where you got Ptolemy, they superimposed Ptolemy's name on the glyph of a cartouche, whom they assumed was his name. You got Cleopatra, and down here you got Alexander. So the A didn't come from no you silly fool. It ain't even no A in ancient Egyptian. So y'all got to understand that the Egyptian language is silent. What y'all transliterated was the Greek, superimposed it onto the glyph. But you didn't have a full match for all of the glyphs. So that show you that Greek was deficient. So they use what? They either use Coptic to fill it in, they use Arabic, they use Hebrew as a filler language. So I'm showing you it's a hybrid language because you got 2 or 3 languages to make one fucking word. The Greek was deficient. So the A don't come from no it comes from the A in Alexander. You got Cleopatra, you got Ptolemy, you got Bernice, all of the names. You even got Caesar. Even Caesar, the Roman ruler, his name was superimposed. So the Egyptian hieroglyphic alphabet was created by superimposing the initials of homosexual Greek ruler name on the sacred glyphs of our African ancestors. So if you're using this alphabet today, it came from the superimposing of these homosexual, lesbian, pedophile rulers, superimposing their initials onto those corresponding glyphs. Okay? Now, look at this. Look at that. Is that shocking? Ain't that a damn shame? Shocking, how you get on this movie, Joe? Niggas snarling the false teachers in the middle of that. Look at Shocking. Who that is, Shocking? Is that Sarnetta? Look at it. He got Sarnetta down there. Shocking Sarnetta. That's right. I'm gonna get you, fuck nigga. Y'all gonna go off on me. By accepting the Greek Europeans' false translation of our ancestors' language, black metal letter speakers have paved the way for homosexual ancient Egyptian to be taught to our people. And this is what they're doing now. They're making homosexuality acceptable in ancient Egypt. Now, ask this question. If in 1,000 years, the ancestors never produced a bilingual Egyptian Greek alphabet or dictionary, this is solid proof that they never wanted it to be so. I'm going to read it again. If in 1,000 years, that's Greek and Roman rule, the ancestors never produced a bilingual Greek alphabet, Egyptian or Greek alphabet or dictionary, this is solid proof that the ancestors never wanted it to be so. So the fact that you niggas come today and sacrilegiously take our ancestors' sacred glyphs and correspond it to homosexual faggots from Greece, you have betrayed our ancestors. You have betrayed the nation. You have committed treason on the ancestors. Now you look at this. Let me keep going. What do we talk about when we talk about primary? Earliest in time of order, predominant, paramount, chief, key, prime, central, principal, foremost, first. So when you're talking about primary, the top of the Rosetta Stone is primary. The demotic is secondary, okay? That wasn't before 600 BC. The Greek is fraudulent. It's not before 200 BC. You got to look at that dates, okay? So you don't have no Greek before 200 BC. You don't have no demotic before 600 BC. The pyramids were built probably around 12,000 BC. The reason why they got it at 3100 BC today is to synchronize it with the Bible. You fools. Herodotus, I'm going to show you. Herodotus said that the priest told him that Egypt was 12,000 years old. Okay? And that seems more likely than 3100 BC, because no way you're going to go from the first king, Narmer, building a mastaba, and in 300 years, you building a megalithic pyramid that has shocked the minds of everybody on the planet. That was at least hundreds of thousands of years of information. And there's no way you can go from and achieve that amount of information in 300 years. Watch this. I'm not done. I'm just getting started. We're gonna go into Walter Williams. We're gonna go in. I'm gonna break something down to you. The historical origins of Christianity.
Hold on, pause. You check this follow.
Check the focus now.
Check the focus. Hold on, family.
Check the phone.
Let me see.
That might be dark.
Go back to your last slide. With the definition. Your last one. Last one with the definition.
That was way down.
All right, fuck it. Go for it. Go for it. Go back one more. All right, let me. One more. Oh, to the yellow. All right, let me see. Might be good.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah. All right, hold on.
All right.
Let me see the remote.
Okay.
Focus the remote. Now, this ain't good, family. Y'all gonna have to hold that down.
What they say? Sorry.
Yeah, it was just unfocused a little bit. All right, with that being said, family, that's good as it's gonna get. The smaller the words, let me tell y'all something. The smaller the words get, family, the harder it might be to see, depending upon what kind of computer or phone you watching on. So you gotta listen because he also reads it. But apparently you can see this shit right here.
That's right.
So goddamn. Now that being said, let's continue.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it out for y'all. And we're gonna use Walter Wynn because a lot of my research I did before I even read the book, The Historical Origins of Christianity. And many of us, I'm gonna deal with them Egyptologists. I did the research before I got into the book. But I agree with a lot of what Walter Williams is saying. He can back it up. I heard what Ankh said, and he said that Walter Williams used Asa, okay, as a means to explain. Just because somebody used the language don't mean they verified the validity of it. They know, the brother know if he used the term Asa, that's what you understand Osiris to be. Just like we understand the continent of Africa to be African. I mean the continent, we understand it to be Africa. Okay? You can't use words that people don't understand and think you're gonna get to get the information across to them. You have to speak in the language that the people understand. So that just because somebody uses it does not mean they validating the shit. That's crazy. Okay? But listen to what he said. While the metal letter hieroglyphics have never been deciphered, contrary to the teachings of Western institutions, the metal letter or hieroglyphs, which are the pictorial symbols of the ancient Egyptians, have never been deciphered. The following are the reasons. Number one, in order for the metal letter or hieroglyphs to have been deciphered, one would have to ask the ancient Egyptians who drew the symbols what he or she meant for them to be. And that's true. You must have what I call primary verification. So unless you can get King Tut to rise up out the goddamn grave and come up on the stage and validate what the fuck you talking, you don't have primary verification. Okay? To illustrate my point, I would draw a symbol of my own creation. Okay, so he drew this symbol. Now I ask, what is the meaning of this symbol? Realistically, you cannot know until I provide you with the meaning. Okay? No one could put a phonetical alphabet value to symbol. For example, the symbol of the question mark. Can you assign a phonetical alphabetical value such as the letters T, M, P, K, R, etc. to the question mark? The answer is no, because the question mark is telling you something to do, to question, okay? If you drive a car, you were tested in 3 categories: eyesight, rules of the road, and symbols. When you were tested for symbols, you were asked what the symbols were telling you to do. In order to know what the symbols are telling one to do, one has to know the meaning of the symbol as standardized by the division of motor vehicles. If you did not know the meaning of the symbols, you failed the test. Okay? Now check this out. Let me go so I can get with you right quick.
They said go to a little bit to the left. So after you're done talking so they can see the screen.
Oh, okay, I'm in the screen?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm going to read this one too. Also, one cannot use any language, Coptic or otherwise, as a key to understanding the symbols of the hieroglyphs, i.e., you cannot apply a language or languages to symbols that one does not know the meaning of. Now watch me fuck you up. See these symbols right here? No, it's a little blurry, but that's all right. You see these symbols? What do these symbols mean? Without a legend or key, it is impossible to know. Okay, so I got these two symbols. Now what does this symbol mean? What does it mean? You don't know. What do these symbols mean? Look at this symbol here. Look at this symbol here. I'm going to give you the meaning in a minute. What do this symbol mean? You don't know, but I'm going to show you. See, now this is the legend. This is the legend that'll give you. So this, when we go back to the first one, okay, this is, wait a minute. This is phono pickups. This is a I guess this is a needle, okay? Like you put on the record player. You got a crystal and you got a magnetic, okay? This right here is a plug or a socket. This is standardized wiring diagram symbols, okay? So if you don't have the legend, you will never know what the hell they mean. Wait a minute. So when you go back to these, see, these is antennas. You wouldn't know that if you didn't have the legend. This is an antenna. The first one is a general antenna. The second one, dipole. The third one, loop. The last one, for right type. Okay? Y'all just going to the wall looking at symbols. But you don't have this the legend that the priest who put it on the wall, you don't have that. So you guessing, nigga. When you come to a symbol where you ain't got the legend, you guessing. You don't know what the hell it means. So what do these symbols mean? We already did this one. I think I did. Okay, now, the only individual or individuals who created the symbols can give you the key or the legend. Now let's talk about it. In order to hit the jackpot, you must have the Powerball. What is the Powerball? The priest who put it on the wall. The Powerball is primary verification. That's the first goddamn ball you got to look for. If you get this one, the priest could tell you. If you got a couple right, if you got that one right, you might hit a couple. You might get a little something. But if you ain't got primary verification, if you ain't got the Powerball, if you ain't got the priest, and we know you can't get that because Egypt is no longer existing like it did in the ancient world, okay? So you cannot get primary verification, okay? That can only come from the priest that put it on the stone. The Powerball is the primary legend or key to unlock the symbols. And that's this. This is the Powerball. This is the legend. This is the teacher's manual that's giving you the meanings of the symbols. So when you go to the walls in ancient Egypt, you're just looking at symbols. You don't have the legend. You don't have the legend. Okay? So you guessing and making up shit as to what it means. The only person that can give you the legend is the people who created the symbols. Champollion didn't create the symbols. Richard Lipsis didn't create the symbols. Apollo didn't create the symbols. And so unless they were initiated into the mystery system, they cannot give you the meaning of these symbols. And you see where it says crystal, magnetic, these are phono pickup. How the fuck you gonna put an A or a B on that and render the meaning? You see what I'm saying? How you gonna put a letter? This is a plug or a socket. So they didn't went and put letters on symbols, which is totally incorrect. I'm gonna go back. No one can put a phonetical alphabetical value to symbols. Okay, you cannot do that. It's telling you to do something. Okay, or it's giving you a rendering a meaning, not a phonetical alphabetical symbol. Okay, phono pickup, crystal magnetic, plug or socket, antennas, general dipole, loop, ferrite type. Okay, let me come out of this. Here you go. What do these symbols mean? Look at it. You got one here, you got one here, you got one here, you got one here, you got one here. You got 8 symbols. What do they mean? Okay? The first one, slurping. Look at this. That's this one. The second one, solenoid. Okay? These is electrical meanings. This is an electrical diagram. What does this one mean down here? Gauge. That's a gauge right there, like when you got a pressure gauge. Okay? What's this? Component reference. Okay? That's the upside down triangle with an A. Without this diagram, without this legend, there's no way for you to know what these symbols mean. It's no way for you to put a letter on a symbol. So the whole methodology in which Champollion used to decipher the metal letter is fake. It's fake. You cannot put a letter, an alphabetical letter on a symbol. What does this one mean?
The metal nature.
And yes, the panel is definitely open. This is an open panel. So you are more than welcome to jump on the panel and go over the video. We can stop the video. You can comment. You can ask your commentary, your opinion. And yeah, jump on.
That's why some of the Shanu's are blank, that the Karians didn't acknowledge these Greeks on the throne like the Ptolemies. And how did they break some of the code? They have not been able to decipher all of the Medu Neter. They have been able to decipher some of it, but it had an esoteric and exoteric interpretation. So Champollion, when Napoleon's army came here, they stole a stone called Rosetta Stone and they built it in a place called Rosetta. And they took that stone back to Europe and they started to study this stone. What is this message? What are they saying on these temples? As you see, the Medu Neter is everywhere, so it was a mystery. It was an ancient language at this time. And then Champollion was able to see, he was able to read Greek, and he was able to decipher Cleopatra the seventh name in the Demotic. And then he was able to decipher a lot of, as the Greeks called the Medu Neter, heretic. And then they were able to break the code on the surface. But you had a priestly language, which more is an esoteric, okay, language, and an exoteric language, an inner and outer. They've never
Go ahead and pause it for a second.
Of the Medu Neter. But Champollion came and carved his name right there, Champollion.
What'd you say, Silky?
Pause it for a second.
On a ladder to do it? No. At that time, when they came in here, these temples were covered in sand.
Can you pause it? Yeah. So what he just said, I just tuned in, but I'll just give you two key things that they need to study to because he's somewhere, but he's still not at the bare root of things. Mm-hmm. Now he brought up the Platoniac culture and shit like that. Now I recommend everybody to break down the Platoniacs and see exactly who they are. Y'all will be surprised. And
you're talking about city, right?
Well, this the group or the people, the culture.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But yeah, you talking about SETI. That's who was talking about the Ptolemies, right?
Well, yeah, but Ptolemy or the Ptolemaics. Right. Yeah, and then another key was like, so go into Ptolemaics, break that down, see who they are, see what language they speak, see the origins of them. Y'all will be surprised when y'all find out who they are. And then after that, go into the Coptic language. Going to the origin of the Coptic language, because he's talking about religion, texts, and things like that starts with the Coptic language. So that's another point that he's speaking on, but he's not really diving in on. I guess he don't study that stuff deep enough, but that should be the thing.
Too deep. He didn't go in too deep with it yet.
Yeah, maybe real surface level on these dang videos. Like for real though, they don't really like they talking name and stuff, but they not going into depth at all. Like very, very surface value.
But we gonna let it play a little bit more. I jump this, so I'm finna jump right here. This young Pharaoh right here. So we want to see what he got to say about it.
All right.
So it was probably at a distance about right here that he was able to write it. That's why when you look up at the temples, in many cases, when you see names up there, that's because the dirt was up that high. You saw the lecture, they only dug these temples out in the turn of the century.
All right. Now before I go to the next slide, family, you heard it out. This for y'all. I'm using y'all motherfucking references. All right? Don't worry, it's gonna get worse. See, nigga, you scared of Ashwa. Woo! You ain't ready for who the fuck I'm about to reference next. All right? After the next video I play, I got a surprise for you niggas. Now let me say this. Keep this in mind, family. Ashwa Kwesi just stated that these temples were buried in sand. So as I get to the end of this PowerPoint, I want to just phrase buried in sand. It just flow right out your motherfucking mind. Because if the temples was buried in sand, what the fuck was you studying? Bitch, you didn't even have access to the goddamn walls to be deciphering the motherfucking hieroglyphics, bitch, because they was buried in sand. So this goes right back to what Seti said on the fact that John Champollion created the whole goddamn alleged decipherment from his house. You know why? Because when he came to Egypt, he couldn't even look at shit. They didn't even undig Egypt until they I'm gonna save it for the end. Don't worry. All right, my next reference. Because not only am I gonna come with a black reference, I'm gonna come with a European reference.
No, not the sign.
I'm gonna come with a European reference. All right? I'm gonna come with it's probably on the video. I'm gonna come with a European reference. You know why? Because this show you that even the white man know that this shit is bullshit.
Fourth most important for mine and the next presenter. For netter. And netter is a key word here. That's your pyramid. The house of the netter. What does netter mean? Well, good old Champollion, Frenchman who worked 21 years to decipher hieroglyphics from 1799 to 1821, 22 years actually, thought he was able to translate symbols of Egyptian, what we call hieroglyphs, which is a Greek word. And that's led to the whole field of Egyptology. The fact of the matter is the Greeks couldn't read the symbols correctly. I can go into a lot of detail without everybody. We don't have time. So all of Champollion's translations are basically incorrect. All of Egyptology's translations are basically incorrect. So the word netter, they translate as God or goddess. Somebody asked earlier, what about all the gods and goddesses of Egypt? Well, the mere fact is we're looking at two different levels of understanding, which I'm going to discuss in great detail in this second book, that there was an exoteric teaching and an esoteric teaching. The exoteric maybe is talking about gods and goddesses, but the true meaning of netter is not God or goddess. And first one, again, who did this in modern times was R.A. Schwaller de Lubitsch, who was the first one to look at this word and said, wait a minute, this word doesn't mean deity, like we understand. It means an aspect or principle of the divine. Part of the whole, not the whole. So netter is actually where the Greek word nature comes from. Netter, nature. So the house of nature, the house of energy. Pyramid, Greek word pyramidos, fire in the middle. Much closer to the true understanding. Had nothing to do with it. So of course at this point we always stop and say, in its original inception, in its original creation, no one was to be ever buried in a pyramid. For Ka is he tomb. This is not tombs. So this throws out 90% of Egyptology right here. They're talking about pyramids and kings being buried in pyramids. Nonsense. And Christopher will greatly elaborate on this and show you unequivocally.
Okay, pause it for a second.
All right, yeah. I was just finna say.
Good night, bitch. Good night. So not only do we got an African reference.
I understand them saying like the olden, the people that was doing the deciphering. Yeah, I've been said proved it was wrong. They had I had a source that I literally put in the chat that was about how when they first did this deciphering, they was making up some shit, or the person that did it was just guessing or some shit like that. So it did start off fucked up. Now, as far as everything being buried, I mean, I guess that's true because a lot of shit still is buried. And then not to mention, you got different civilizations building on top of other civilizations. Yeah. So you got that issue there. You got architectural work on top of other architectural work like add-on. type shit and stuff like that. And then he's talking about the tomb and the pyramids and all that. And like, yeah, because they don't know if it's a pyramid, if it's a tomb, if it's for energy, if it's a temple, if it, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff, they just don't know. They don't know what the hell is the exact usage for everything. They just know they got it. But, and then not to mention when it goes to the classification of what's what, that's another thing that they run into, because they don't find pyramid, they don't find mummies and all these pyramids. They're not finding bodies. They're not, you know, they're not finding bedrooms for living and all of these architectural things that they're looking at and stuff like that. So that's one thing they're kind of dealing with now, is trying to cipher through all that, because somebody might put it like, they'll title it, classify it like this, calling it a pyramid or a mound, but it could be a temple. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that could throw off things.
So you're saying they don't know if it's a mastaba or if it's a temple, huh? Or if it's both.
Yeah, that's another word, Mustafa. That's the indigenous word, right? Or is that Arabic? That's the Arabic. That's Mustafa, yeah, I heard of the Mustafa. I heard of that. That's just another word for temple, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I heard that one.
All right, but let's see what he's talking about. We're gonna finish up.
Yeah, let's hear him out.
We got a Caucasian, right? Even white people know them motherfucking meditation ain't been deciphered. But I got one of the greatest scholars to ever breathe oxygen within the last 150 years as my reference. All right? So don't shit yourself, bitches. Don't shit yourself, Amin Rafrod. Don't shit yourself, Dr. Reggie, Info Deep, Shaka Amos. All you niggas love calling out the greats. I'm referencing the greatest of the greats. Here we go.
It was the Rosetta Stone, right? That opened it up, right?
Hold on. What?
Yeah, the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, it was the Rosetta Stone that kind of.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, not Dr. Ben.
Dr. Ben.
Not Dr. No, not Dr. Ben. Hold on. Oh, my fucking Lord. Lord, I feel like Bertie Mac. Oh, Lord. Lord Wanda. So that being said, let's see what Dr. Ben got to say. Let's see what Dr. Ben got to say about has the Meta Nature been deciphered. Here we go.
First question is approximately 7 foreign languages, but I speak languages that are considered dialect, and then I read some languages that are, in fact, what they mean dead. It means it could be read, but no one can speak it since that we don't have vowels for it. And a good one would be what you call Medonecha. Some people going wrong saying that they speak in Medonecha. That's just what it is. You can't speak it because there's no vowel. The Europeans added some vowel to try to, communicate with each other. And there are more than one such language. And there are many languages in which we have not, no one seems to have decoded yet along the Nile and elsewhere.
What?
Hey.
Whoopsie. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers. I know you feel toasty. So with that being said, why y'all?
He's referring to even the ancient Libyan language isn't all the way deciphered. Like that's yeah, he's right. There is languages that haven't been fully deciphered, but even the crazy part about it is Libyan is not off the Egyptian script. You know what I'm saying? That's before the Egyptian script. So that's a big thing, and they're steady running towards Egypt and things like that. When Egypt's not even the oldest, you got to go before Egypt. You got to go ancient Egypt. You know what I'm saying? You got to go before all them people to really get to the bare facts of the shit.
So what do you think about when not only Deciphered, the brother Dr. Ben said spoken, like instead it's to be uttered. You understand what I'm saying? Like maybe.
Well, and then okay, I'll say that, but I mean I hear you on that. But another thing, like when it comes to the hieroglyphs and the metanator and all that stuff, it can be read front to back, backwards, horizontal, like it can be read in so many different styles. so many different ways. So depending on the meaning, shit, or the direction that you read it, it could be completely different. But that's just high science, high level type of stuff. But I mean, I guess they broke it down. Like I said, they got scripts with 3,000, 5,000. You got writings and things like that. But yeah, back in those days, though, the time that they're talking about, that shit was all fucked up because they had all them white dudes running up over to Africa that didn't know nothing about nothing, and they were just trying to infiltrate and put together something and get their books out. You know what I'm saying? They was all trying to write their books and live that Indiana Jones life. They all thought they was Indiana Jones.
This question, Silky, was it an alphabetic type of a script that we used, or was it more of a pictographic script, to whereas the script was more expressed through an idea instead of a linear letter?
You mean like pictograph? Yeah. Cause I mean, what they try to claim with the owl represents the letter M, or the word Mer. Actually, that was in the name of the pyramids too, are called Mers. Right. So you know what I'm saying? And that's just, I mean, that's
so Silky. So let's entertain that, right? So also that right there, right? That just proves a point, right? How the M and the R, Marie, also can mean beloved, right? Mary.
Well, that's if you go that, you can, if you're going there, if you want to go that route, you'd be falling. I guess you would. Because I think the myrrh has a lot to do with mourning and
that's the point. So in making that L a M, we lose all of those things that we just said, right? All of those different
makes it just a letter. So it can be either a letter or a word. Because even the owl alone.
So when we make it a letter, the M, and then we put an R next to it, do we maintain all of those different meanings in those letters, or is it just pronounced?
It's M-U-R, I believe, is how they spell it. But I do know it supposedly represents the letter M. But if you go into the whole breakdown of what the owl represents, what the owl means, the owl is supposed to mean hindsight, like incredible thinking. And like it's supposed to be also like a symbol of resurrection, about how the owl dives down, I guess, and does like it's hunting, and then it shoots back up and shit like that. Like if you study the owl, that there too also has a lot of information behind it that's like mythical and shit.
So for instance, just like how you said hindsight, right?
Right.
So we have to spell that out, right? And by spelling that out, we would come to a totally, you know what I'm saying? Like if we use the glyphs to spell the words out, you would come to totally different, you know what I'm saying, meanings. Like for the M and the R, we would distinguish it in the text, because we would see the mer, like for the mer, we would see the mer glyph, the mer sign.
Well,
right?
it's a different style of how they draw the owl. That's another thing that you're gonna run into. The different styles of how it might be one little line that's different on this owl, and that one little line can mean something totally different type shit.
And then and depending on the kingdom, and so in the older kingdoms with the Meter hieroglyphic, we see the owl, and then we see how it went from transition from that into the hieratic, the old kingdom hieratic, the stroke, and then to the middle kingdom hieratic, to the new kingdom hieratic, and then finally to the Demotic. And by that time, it's totally different. You would, and I'm going to actually show that in a little bit, how when we look at the later periods, how the traditional hieroglyphics are unrecognizable. You know what I'm saying? They're basically just used at this point for phonetic values.
Phonetic values.
You can create any words with them now. But yeah, let's just finish this real quick, and then I'm gonna open up the panel.
All right.
Keep calling on Dr. Ben.
Right.
Why y'all keep calling on?
Hold on 1 second.
That symbol is telling an individual to question, to ask questions, because that symbol of the question mark is telling one to do that. But you cannot put an alphabetical value to the question mark as a symbol. You can't put and say this symbol of a question mark means an R, a T, P, M, Q, or whatever the case might be. You can't do that because it's a symbol of a question mark, or any symbol has to be explained if you know the meaning of the symbol. The fourth thing, when an individual go and take a driver's test to get their driver's license, they are tested in three things: rules of the road, eyesight, and symbols. When you get to the symbols part, they put up symbols for you to explain the meaning of those symbols. They don't ask you what alphabet or alphabetical value that this symbol represents. They don't tell you that. They explain the meaning of it. So therefore, if you cannot explain the meaning of the symbols, then you fail the test. You see? So that's a few things. And then Champollion, they said in 1822.
So you want to pause? You want to say now, or you want to?
Yeah, you can pause it a little bit. Go ahead and pause it.
7 glyphs was in a cartouche that the 7 glyphs in this cartouche will represent Ptolemy, the Greek.
He went to the Ptolemy again? They went back to the Ptolemy? All right, I'll let you in on a little secret.
Right here. Hey, Tahodi, did you have something you wanted to try to jump in, or?
Yeah, real quick. 3 real quick points while y'all talking about this topic right here. The first point is the fact that meta nature is not fully deciphered does not mean that there's a whole bunch of ambiguity to Kemet in general.
Right.
Right. And so when we go to mastaba, right, and knowing the difference between a pyramid, a mastaba, a step pyramid, knowing the difference between a temple, a tomb, you know what I'm saying, a university or whatever. Right. We know that. Well, the only problem with meta nature is it's not fully translated, because just like Sarasu and Seti, Walter Williams and all that say, they purposely went in there and mistranslated things so that it will present a problem in the future. So right now, people who have a working knowledge in meta nature and people who have been an authority figure for 40 years are trying to reconstruct that language. Right.
So
but the fact remains,
just real quick before you go too far. So what you say, like Wallace Budge, right? So if we're contextualizing the time period, you know, they're looking at it to be quite frankly, their discoveries are from a Western academic viewpoint. You know, I dare say racist, but they're not wanting the Egyptians to be black at this period of time, right? So are they even through their translations of words, right? We can look at Nehesi as Negro, right? Or right. Southerner. So are we getting racist translations through the meta? So how do we look at the primary text and retranslate it? Because are we not even going to use? Are we not still going to have to go back to Champollion's Rosetta Stone?
So you're going to have to use, just like you learn math and certain things in history in general, there's certain universal principles that exist. There's certain lies that can't be told. So for instance, the universal principle is like an encircled X. That's one of the most universal principles that we know. And that's why the word Kemet can be verified to not mean land, because you already told us, if you already gave us the key, we already went through the process of the Rosetta Stone, and we know that one hieroglyph means, or one symbol means land, and then another one has a distinct symbol that we all universally still use to this day on a map. Then we know for a fact that that's a certain symbol that we can verify to be different and that actually have some type of meaning. So like, yeah, there is a point to where if I write down a certain symbol, you might not know what it means, But I'm gonna have to still, as a human being, I'm gonna still have to write down something that's universally meaningful so that people can understand it. If you get what I'm saying, just like he went back into the symbols and showed you the key. The key exists for a reason because that's a universal way of saying whatever he was going over.
Mm-hmm. So, for instance, when the translate the meaning, right? So when you said the top, right? So were you referring to that when you said the circle? Or are you referring to the 049?
I don't know. I don't memorize Unicodes. So what I'm saying is, if you look at the Kemet, right, the Kemet Metal Nature hieroglyph, right, you see the encircled X that denotes city or town or state, and that's the thing. When it comes to the African language, anyway, it's going to be anywhere from 3 to 4 different words that translate to one English word because English has the least amount of meaning.
Well,
the more original words have the more amount of meaning. The English word, which is the youngest language ever, has the least amount of meaning. So it takes 7 English words to translate one African word.
7. So okay. So I want us to stay right there. So 7 English words, right? So
yeah,
remember,
that's an example. It could be 3.
Wait.
4.
Right, I understand. So listen, hold on. We don't want to go too far. So words are consisted of letters, correct?
Yeah, if you want to like make them into sounds and you want to make them universal to where everybody know what they mean, yeah, definitely.
They need to consisted of letters, right? So when we take the owl, right, and make it an M, right? Owl is a word in itself, correct?
The owl, so the owl is a symbol that means different things, like I just said. So like the owl is not going to be a word in itself. It's going to be a symbol.
Hold on, we don't got to go too far. In Nile Valley culture, the owl is a symbol is an ideograph.
Right, and it has different meanings. It doesn't just have different meanings. But if you want to stay specific to Kemet, then yeah, we can say it has one meaning.
But hold on, brother. When we're talking about words, right? So words consist of letters, right? So when we take the ideograph of an owl and make it into a letter, right? So let's say the owl, we look at an owl and let's just say that it means wisdom, right?
Right.
Owl means wisdom. When we see that symbol, it means wisdom. So we're going to take it and we're going to put it into an M. So does that letter M still convey that owl wisdom, or is it just now a phonetic letter that can be spoken and create other words?
Both, because remember, just like Ma'at, if we know Ma'at means 3 to 4 different things, or sometimes even 7, we get 7 different terms out of Ma'at, right? But whatever phonetic value makes up Ma'at or a part of Ma'at, that can have different meaning, because you taking a phonetic portion to break down the symbol, so you can begin to make other words and other variations of a form of thought.
And at that moment, the meaning, the original meaning, dies in the translation at that point.
Nah, because like same thing with emojis, and this is why people are starting to relate the hieroglyphs to the basic emojis that we use on a computer. If I take a face, right, and then that face now has a whole bunch of different meanings. Just if I just adjust the mouth, put tears on it, you know what I'm saying? Now you have, out of that whole face emoji, I can make a variation of a different range of different type of emotions, the same way I can do with the hieroglyphs. That's why you have different hieroglyphs with the same symbols, but variations of those with certain add-ons in them.
Some are phonetic, but all aren't phonetic.
Say that again, one more time.
You said some can be phonetic, but I will argue that all of them are not phonetic. So
I mean, we can, yeah, but where is your argument coming from? Is your argument just coming from like possibility clause and like your own little hypothesis, or is it coming based on like the words of other scholars who like translate meta nature?
I have a problem with collapsing ideographic images into linear letters.
Why? What's the problem with that?
Why? All right, but just hold on one second. I don't want to get too deep in the conversation, but let's just finish with Walter Williams, and then we'll close out with this, and then we'll just open the panel back up. Is that fair?
I mean, I just wanted you to answer that one simple question. You should like be able to give a comprehensible answer.
I can't because it doesn't make sense to me.
Why doesn't it make sense to you?
Because at that point,
have you taken any classes? Have you sat through like anything that Infideli teaches? Have you?
We've lost the meaning. We've lost.
Okay.
No, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you what you think we lost. I've asked you if you ever sat down with anybody before you came to these conclusions, or are you just drawing these conclusions to kind of be somewhat problematic in your own right? Because you got to see what I'm saying. I'm gonna give you an analogy.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to answer the question. So,
all right, that's cool.
I've come to these conclusions by doing the research, the homework to the best of my abilities. You know what I'm saying? And I've looked at the primary sources, and I've come to my conclusions, and I've found other scholars who have come to the same conclusion.
Like who? What scholars?
The scholars that I'm presenting today. The one that's on the screen for one, Walter Williams is a scholar.
He's not saying the same thing you saying. Walter Williams is saying that isn't fully been deciphered.
You let him speak for himself. Hold on one second, brother.
Greek ruler of ancient Egypt during the reign of the Ptolemies. And then in another cartouche had 9 supposed glyphs, signs in it, which supposedly represented Cleopatra. Okay? So what I'm saying is that this is his guesstimation. Okay? And they said that he used the Coptic language to do that and so forth. You cannot use any language to decipher and understand a symbol. You can use a language, no matter what language you speak, to explain a symbol, but you cannot use a language to decipher a symbol. It's impossible. But this is in 1822 with Champollion. Now, 44 years later, they came up with a
yeah, you got to pause.
Did you hear that, Tahuti?
I heard him, but I got a better.
I heard exactly what I said, but y'all miss taking what he said. So I'm about to break down what he said.
Exactly what he said.
So hold on. We just went through the fact. We just went through the fact that you sat down on your own and you came to this conclusion. You didn't take no classes. You didn't even visit and review any other recorded classes to come up with this conclusion. You just came up with this conclusion very observably because you misheard what Walter Williams was trying to say. I'm about to break down what Walter Williams.
I did research.
Hold on. What research have you done? Because I'm asking you. I just asked you, what is a comprehensive problem that you see with taking a symbol and coming up with a phonetic sound that's universal, that experts agreed on, so we can have a working knowledge on trying to decipher meta nature? We all agree that it hasn't fully been deciphered.
I'll tell you. So I learned the grammar first, and then I learned the culture. So in regards to so this is why in regards to religion with the meta, so meta netter. So your name is Tahuti Afar. So I'm assuming you are familiar with the priesthood. So when the pyramid text, for example, right? These are funerary texts. these are for the priest or the him netzer or the, you know what I'm saying, the
spiritual,
have you want to chant, right?
The higher ups, definitely, I guess you would call it.
They're literally called utterances, right? They're chanted.
So meta nature is a mass communication.
Wait, brother. They're uttered. They're chanted. They're not. So when you're asking me this question,
you're singing it like no Allah people, like that part.
Hold on. So he asked me a question. Why did I have a problem with it? Right. So this is why. So when these priests are chanting or uttering these spells, right, to protect the Nasut, to do what or whatever,
safe passage to the afterlife.
You filibuster right now. You take, you can left. So when these priests are chanting or uttering these spells, right, they're not uttering single letters. You understand what I'm saying? They're not taking the L and making it an M. They're not taking, you know what I'm saying, the R and making it a Ra. They're uttering. They're chanting. You know
well, I mean, on the chant part though, I don't know. That one's a kind of a little bit of a. I don't know if you would just want to stand on that hill that firmly. But what I will say is, I don't really see. Truthfully, I'm gonna tell you what I think. What I think is, because I could been through my studies and everything that I've looked at, and then not to mention current studies and everything that I looked at, and I'm deep in the heavy. I'm archaeology, genetics, tribes, language, architectural, engineering, mathematics, education, universities. I'm all that. So all I know is when they talk about Egypt, and in Egypt you have the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, talking about how they're battling Libyans. Mm-hmm. They got on the stuff. The Egyptians are talking about how they're battling Libyans, and Libyans already have an army. They already have a military. And these are, you know what I'm saying? So they're spitting there, so it's kind of like they're just now coming in, but the Libyans been the ones that's been in charge. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? They try to, and then a lot of the stuff that is Egyptian has Libyan origins to it. But so many people have been focusing on Egypt, they haven't been focusing on Libya. And even Morocco, they do in-house work over there. So their stuff is not all stepped on.
But you know what's crazy? Not to get too far off topic, they associate a lot of things, Egyptian things, to Libya that are actually Libyan, and Nubian and Kushite.
Well, Nubian, that comes later. It's Libyan before they all down.
Mm-hmm. So let's not get too far off topic, but we'll finish this and then.
And then the Kemet part, they don't even have that much to read.
Saying that they found a bilingual stone called the stone of Canopus. Okay, this is found over in Egypt, in Canopus, Egypt, 44 years later. But prior to, from the time of Alexander coming out with the 7 to 9 supposed decipherment of the glyphs, his peers and Western academia refused to recognize what he found and claimed that he had deciphered. Okay, so they didn't recognize his scholarship. They denied him ever deciphering the hieroglyphics until 44 years later they found another bilingual stone called the stone of Canopus. Now, he is supposed to have taken, Champollion is supposed to have taken those supposed cartouche that he claimed that he deciphered from the Rosetta Stone. Okay? As you know, the Rosetta Stone was supposed to have been found in 1799 by Napoleon and his group and his armed group that went over in Egypt. Okay? So 44 years later, after Champollion came out in 1822 and said he deciphered this, his peers again refused to recognize or give him credit for deciphering anything. They say he didn't decipher it. So then they find this stone, this bilingual stone called the stone of Canopus, which I questioned in the book at the time about the stone of Canopus. And I asked the question, what in the stone of Canopus made Western academia all of a sudden, after 44 years of denying Champollion, the decipher of the hieroglyphics, what in this stone of Canopus that they found to authenticate Champollion, so-called discovering and deciphering those 7 to 9 glyphs. Okay, I can't get an answer. But anyway, if an individual get my book, Historical Origin of Christianity, which is, you can, I'm at the Underground Bookstore right here in Chicago, Illinois. The address is 1727 East 87th Street. Phone number here is 773-968-8869. And you can buy my book here. Now, I'm not trying to sell you a book. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. If you don't, you don't. But anyway, you can find the information, what I'm talking about, on page 146 in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. So, further to make an individual, or to give an individual the understanding about what I'm saying, and what I'm saying is that the hieroglyphics has never been deciphered, never will be deciphered. You go and get a American Heritage Dictionary of the English language, and you look up in that dictionary hieroglyphs or hieroglyphics, and that dictionary will say, as you read it, the definition of the hieroglyphs as they explain it. This is unlegible and undecipherable. In other words, they're telling you that the hieroglyphic symbols cannot be deciphered. So this is what I'm saying as to why the Melanesian hieroglyphics has never been deciphered, never will be deciphered. You have to ask the ancient Egyptians who drew those symbols what he or she meant for them to be during the time of antiquity. Antiquity means ancient time, and they are not around for us to ask that question. So you cannot have a consensus. You cannot speculate. You cannot determine. You cannot analyze. You cannot bring up any reasons that you conjure in your mind, or any reason why a group of men or women will have a consensus as to how and why the hieroglyphics has been deciphered. You can't do that, okay? Even though there's a group out there today, they wrote a 216-page book repudiating what I'm saying. And my name is right on the front cover, Walter Williams. But in the 216-page writing in this book, repudiating what I'm saying as to why the Melanesian hieroglyphics has never been deciphered, they said it has been deciphered, okay? But in that book of 216 pages, there's not one sentence, a paragraph that they have wrote in that book to show the world and show me how the hieroglyphics has been deciphered and who deciphered them. So I asked an individual, you said that the hieroglyphics have been deciphered. I asked you, based on what? And they can't do that. And I mean that there are supposed to be 400, some say 700, some say 600, some say 1,000, some say 1,500, some say 2,000 hieroglyphics, symbols drawn by our ancestors out there. So I asked an individual, bring me any amount of pictorial symbols known as the hieroglyphics, and tell me and explain to me the meaning of each and every one of those symbols. Okay, that's all I asked, and I think that's fair enough. So that's what I have to say about that.
That's not going to be done, though. I don't think they're going to be able to do that.
No, they can't do that, and I know that. So another thing I'm going to bring out, since we're talking about the hieroglyphics. They asked me, so well, I use the term Mayat Hotep. Mayat is female, love. Hotep is peace, male. Okay, so the female cosmically balances the male cosmically balances the female. So there's balance there. See? So they say, well, if the hieroglyphics has never been decipherable, where do you get the word Hotep and Maat? Or Pharaoh, any type of word. I explained to them, Maat is a word, Hotep is a word, any word is a word. That's all. But it has nothing to do with the hieroglyphics. Because Maat, Hotep, or Maat is a word, Hotep is a word.
And the metal netta is the hieroglyphics.
The hieroglyphics. Okay, metal netta hieroglyphics. Sacred, supposed to be sacred writings. Sacred, not writings, but drawings.
So Mr. Williams, why would these people just make the claim and say that they deciphered it and they hadn't actually done it? What's the goal? What's the underlying goal behind that?
Well, I see. I was going after Western academia. Western academia, in order for them to have control of our ancestors' history, the ancient Egyptians, and their culture, they had to institutionalize it.
Gotcha.
So therefore, this is part of them institutionalizing our ancestors' culture and civilization, so they can say that they're Egyptologists. There's no such thing as an Egyptologist. If you're an Egyptologist, tell me and speak the language that our ancestors spoke over in Egypt during the time of antiquity, ancient time. Speak that language if you're an Egyptologist. Tell me how the Great Pyramid was built. That's another mystery that will never be solved. How did our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, build the Great Pyramid? Okay? Can't solve that. We'll never know that answer. Okay? So I was going after Western academia to tell Western academia, you have not deciphered the hieroglyphs. Because Western academia wants to put an alphabet or alphabetical value to symbols. So you can't do that. So I was going after them. But then the brothers and the sisters out here went into Western academia, believe what Western academia is saying about the hieroglyphics being deciphered.
Well, they uphold that as law.
Hold on, repeat that again.
They upholding this Western academia as law. They saying this is what it is.
This is what I'm saying.
I'm not saying I know, but I'm saying that's what they saying. They saying this is absolute because Western academia said so.
Correct. But I'm saying that I'm calling Western academia out. So no, you have not deciphered the hieroglyph, and you know that. Because I went over to the University of Chicago and I talked to Peter Piccioni over there, who was teaching the hieroglyphic class. He was a professor over there. And I pressed him. And he told me, he said, well, you're right. The hieroglyphics has never been deciphered, but I have to teach this class. Okay? I talked to Frank Yorko over there, who's another scholar over the University of Chicago, who set up the exhibit Inside Egypt at the Field Museum. He was teaching a hieroglyphics class. And I pressed him. And he had to admit, no, it's never been deciphered. See? So what I'm saying to you, there's a lot of things out there that needs to be challenged. And that's one of them. So I have went into Western academia and challenged them to why the Mennonite hieroglyphics have never been deciphered. But the brothers and sisters out there, they took what Western academia said and say, well, they're on the side of Western academia against Walter Williams, which is okay. But again, if you want to use Western academia's reasons or use your own reasons. Now, mind you, now these brothers are very, very good researchers. I read the book that they wrote against me with my name on the front cover.
Who are these guys?
They call themselves the Amun-Ra Squad.
The Amun-Ra Squad.
Right, which is fine. These guys are very good researchers. Okay. But they have not demonstrated or wrote in the book that they wrote repudiation against what I'm saying about hieroglyphs never been deciphered. They have never wrote in that book how a symbol called the hieroglyphics have been deciphered. They haven't said that. Haven't done that. Haven't did anything. They did use a lot of technicality.
Use a lot of technicality. And you know what? In the conversation, like you said, they can decipher the name Pharaoh or whatever name that you get, right? But they don't.
Hey, so keep in mind, this is Walter Williams. So he used history as well as Kemetic teachings, universal Kemetic teachings, to understand how Christianity and Kemetic spirituality has parallels. You see what I'm saying? So like he knows in general that there are some common understandings of the Metal Netter, but he is correct. He is partially correct to say that the Metal Netter hasn't fully been deciphered yet. As of now, like I said like I dropped in the chat, it's only been about 65-70% fully deciphered. It hasn't been fully deciphered yet.
Question, brother, just because you seem pretty, knowledgeable. So I just want. So you say 70%.
Yeah, I would say up to 70%, because just like we all agree on that these Europeans, they hide history and they purposely mistranslate and put certain glitches in their translations to confuse people in the future. Like they knew exactly what they was doing when they put all this stuff together.
How many unilaterals are there?
Say what now?
How many symbols in the Metal Netter are? What you say they are?
So are you talking about that's been like deciphered?
No, so I'm getting to the point of you said 70% has been deciphered. So I'll give you a number. I'll say probably about 4,000, maybe more.
You say there's 4,000
symbols,
like symbols.
Tell me what you say.
Now, so like, okay, so if you say 4,000 of those, so let me ask you this: how many do you think have been deciphered?
I'm giving a. So we have what 22, 24 unilaterals that have been deciphered, correct?
So you come to the agreement that there has been somewhat.
So out of 4,000, 22 have been deciphered, correct?
You only think there's 22?
How many would you say?
I mean, so like, I'm not an expert.
No, I'm just trying to. No, you gave me. You have.
This is my whole point.
Wait, brother. Wait, brother. You have to be, because you gave me an absolute.
I don't have to be anything. I do not have to be an expert. That's my whole point.
So
to teach about Kemet, you do not have to be. Walter Williams is a point of fact that you don't have to be an expert in Metal Netter to teach about Kemet and history.
About math. So
expert about what?
The 70%, brother. I'm not.
Nah, that's not. No. So first of all, if I agree that the Metal Netter hasn't fully been deciphered, that means I can put a number of 60 to 80% on it.
Okay. So that's okay. 60 to 80. So you said 70. That's right in between. So if you have 4,000 symbols, and I'm asking you how many have been deciphered. I said 22 to 24. So are you saying?
So you only think 22 out of the 4,000 have been deciphered?
How many would you say? You give me the number.
I mean, whatever we agree on 70% of.
No.
If we agree that it's 70% deciphered, then whatever 70% of 4,000 is.
I'm making the point that it's not 70% not deciphered by showing you that if it's only
but so what's the percentage? What's the percentage then?
22 out of 4,000 is what? Let's see. Let's do the math. 2%. If that, what is it? Let's see. What is 22%? What is 22 out of 4,000?
But that's trivial though, and that's besides the point. The underlying point should be two things.
Do you know what it is?
Coming out of this whole lesson that you showing.
I did the math, but hold on. So
that's fine. You can do the math. You can
wait, brother, just hold on.
Whatever number.
If I'm making a fair point, let me make a fair point. You said 60 to 80%, right? So I did the math. It says 0.0055%. So not even 1%.
Okay.
That's not even 1%. Not even 1% has been deciphered.
But who's to say that yours is true? How is that true? How it could be 40. It could be 40. What if it's actually 40 that's actually been deciphered and not just 22?
If we
you see what I'm saying? That's why your side of it is trivial, but my side of it is a little bit more practical.
No,
you see what I'm saying? Because I'm saying two things with this. I'm only saying two things with this. One, that most people have a working knowledge in anything that's having interest in anything, no matter how difficult it is. And two, you don't have to be an expert at meta nature to teach ancient world history or anything about Kemet. That's the only thing that you should get out of the fact that the meta nature hasn't fully been translated or deciphered. That's the only thing, no matter what percentage we agree on, that's the only thing that should come out of this if we want to move forward as a race.
Well, so
right? Because now here's another question. Are you interested? Are you interested in translated African languages and relearning African languages?
So that's another thing.
Yes or no? Are you interested in?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all you should get out of this.
You can't. So in
it shouldn't be. I have another debate with another comedic because I discovered something about meta nature. No, it should be just okay. We agree that it's not fully translated, and two things out of that should come out of that, and that's it.
But hold on, brother. I don't like the words that you're using. Fully translated, right? It's not so. There's esoteric and exoteric meanings, right? So when we talk about exoteric and esoteric meaning, the ideographic part of it has not been deciphered at all. That part has not. You're not going to decipher that. Nobody has deciphered that. That's a fact. So fully deciphered.
Are you getting that from just this video right here, or are you getting it? What research have you done to come to that conclusion? Because we all can agree, even Walter Williams can agree that there's some things that he can translate. There's at least one or two symbols that he can translate. I guarantee you.
Question, let me answer it. The alphabet is phonetic, correct?
Hold on, you asking me questions or are you answering the question?
I'm making points for my question. So I want you to answer the question. The alphabet is purely phonetic.
Listen, I don't want to go into another line of questioning. All I'm saying is because the meta nature hasn't been translated.
Brother, go ahead, but you're cutting me off.
The only thing that should get out of this.
That's what you want to input in the conversation. That's not the narrative that's going to go on tonight. I'm giving you.
Because you're looking for a debate. Is that what you're looking for? You fishing for a debate?
I want to be able to speak freely just as much as you are.
To speak what?
You're not having to mute your mic or cut you. You know what I'm saying? So I asked a simple question, brother. We having dialogue, so let's just have a fair conversation without filibustering or we ain't been.
I'm not filibustering, bro.
All right. So I asked a simple question. The alphabet is purely phonetic. It represents sound, not meaning, correct?
Nah, the alphabet actually means meaning because an A has a meaning to it.
The alphabet means, brother.
Are you asking me the question or do you want me to only answer it in your favor? Which one is it?
You're not answering the question that I asked. You're not. I said, is the alphabet phonetic? It represents sound. Letters represent sound. Words represent sounds, right?
Words represent sound and meaning. What are you talking about? Letters represent sounds, actually, and symbols. So everything is universal with translations. So you do have a working method to make your transliterations.
I'm building my point. So when you take the symbol, right, which has the meaning, right, and make it into a linear letter, right, you're losing the meaning of the symbol, correct?
Not really. You all over the place. You being a little bit trivial too. Like I don't understand where you're going with your questioning.
Brother, I'm right on the place. Answer the question. You'll follow me.
No. If I'm telling you I don't understand your line of questioning, how are you arbitrarily telling me? And this is what I'm saying. How can you have that line of logic, but you have your line of logic about the metal netcher? You see what I'm saying? We speaking English right now. And you got a line of thinking with English communication, but you telling me that your perspective on the meta netcher is better than mine and Infandijis and people who've been doing this for, you know what I'm saying, way more than you. You looked at YouTube video. I asked you earlier, how did you come to this conclusion? And you literally said Walter Williams and what's going on right now.
Brother Tahudi, listen. I studied the language. I probably can write it. I can probably parse it better than you.
So what's the problem then? So like, if you can do it better than me, then you should actually you should have a problem with Walter Williams and Cyrus Suit and Seti then, if you can do it better than me.
But listen, I can read it better than you.
Nah, you can't have it two ways more than one, bro. That don't make sense. That don't make sense though. How can you read it better than me, but you just told me it hasn't been deciphered and only a certain
brother, you keep cutting me
off. And a certain percentage has been deciphered, bro.
Brother, I muted you and you was talking. You're not even.
That's fine, bro. But you're not gonna make stupid points. If you want me on the show, you're not gonna make stupid points. You're gonna know that yes, the meta netter hasn't been fully deciphered, but you can still take positive things away from that.
That's not the argument.
I know, because you want to make it about a negative. Brother, you see what I'm saying?
This is not an attack on meta netter, so you can calm down. But we're making valid points, brother. And I'm using our people. So listen. I asked a simple question, brother. And you acting like you don't understand.
I answered it to the best of my abilities, and you didn't like it, bro. I'm not acting like anything.
Listen, brother. You used an example earlier by a universal symbol, right? Of a circle with the line.
Right. That's showing you that I tried to answer the question to the best of my ability, bro.
What's the problem?
Because you keep telling me I'm doing something else, and I'm just telling you I'm trying to answer these questions to the best of my ability.
You're filibustering before I even make the point.
I'm not filibustering.
Can you quit cutting me off? Can I have 1 minute on my show to speak without being cut off? Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And I guarantee you have the same courtesy. I haven't muted you not one time. When you spoke about the universal symbol of a circle with a line through it, right? In Kemet, in Egypt, right? And spoke about first of all, I would disagree. I would say it means district. I would argue. I would disagree that it means city, vehemently, and I would come to a different understanding of probably district, right? But it could also, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, because I'm also drawn to the placenta sign, right? A circle with lines in it. Right? So that means it could be a placenta, which is literally the womb of a woman, or it could be a district or a city, right? Just two totally different things, right? But so how is that that's not a universal symbol?
Well, I'm gonna answer. Can I answer that real quick?
Go ahead.
It's universal because you gave me 3 choices. Out of the 3, 2 of them did the same thing. Yeah, you did. You said placenta, district, city.
No, you gave me those choices, but based upon what you said, a circle.
I said city. I said city. You gave me both district. You confirmed, and you meant. But you see the point. You fighting it, but you see my point.
Brother, I made the point that it could be a plethora of things.
But you confirm that city and district are the same thing, bro.
Yeah, district and city. That could be the same thing. But placenta,
Right.
A placenta and a city are not.
But that's only one thing that you threw in there, and you purposely threw that in there because you know you have an ulterior motive.
No, I'm showing you how.
You know you did that.
I'm showing you how.
You subconsciously confirmed that you know an enclosed X means a town, city, a group of people, a location.
Right.
Yeah, a district. And I even confirmed earlier,
which is the womb of a woman,
that it takes 3 or 4 English words to translate one African word. So we agreeing to this. You pretty much disagreeing to agree, bro.
No,
right
I'm
now.
I'm showing you how the English
you disagreeing to agree right now, bro.
Lexicon to articulate the African.
So hold on.
Circle with lines in it, brother.
So the fact that
in the African in Kemet, that could be anything from a placenta, which is the womb of a woman, to anything to a city.
But that's just you saying that.
That's you saying that
versus if I go do my research. Even if I was ignorant, if I go do my research, that's only you saying the placenta versus everybody else saying city, town, nation, state. You see what I'm saying? And that's how I come to the conclusion that it's universal. So that's my way of answering that question that you asked. You asked how do we know it's universal if it could be district, city, or even placenta? And I just told you. That's how we know it's universal, because if I compare your thoughts to a placenta versus what our black archaeologist says, what Mfundiji says, even Sarah Sutanseti agrees that the Kemetic symbol for Kemet means what it means.
So Hody, you just gave me a bunch of jargon
of scholars that agree with what I'm trying to say, despite the fact.
So let me just clarify what you just said. Your initial point, so the people can hear what the initial point was. Your initial point was that a circle with some lines in it was a universal symbol, right? I said no, Hody. Not in Kemet, it's not, because it can mean anything from a placenta, which is the womb of a woman, to a district or a city, which are two different things. So
and it's seen as combinations. Yeah. So if that encircle X is with another set, then it means a placenta. Now I'm understanding what you're saying. So you asking me if that X is with some other different symbols? Is that what you're asking?
If you quit cutting me off, you understand what I'm asking you. I haven't asked you yet. So
you're telling me.
No, I'm not telling you.
So what are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm waiting for you to give me some.
How much long do you want to talk? If you asking me a question and I get into my explanation, how much more do you want to talk to build on your question? Why are you building on your question in real time as I'm trying to answer it? That's what I'm asking you right now.
You're long-winded. So
no. I'm not long-winded. I'm asking you. I'm trying to honestly answer your questions.
I'm waiting to
and you keep building on top of them as I'm going into the answer, as if you're trying to change up the question as I'm going into the answer.
So let's just stay right here. So,
okay.
The placenta, right? This is the universal premise that you're talking about, a circle with lines in it, right? So I said that could be anything from a womb, right? A woman, to a district or a city within the Kemetic, mindset, right? So I'm wanting you to show me how that is a universal symbol connecting the placenta, from the womb of a woman, to the circle with the 049 determinative for city.
Okay, and that's why I said if that enclosed X is next to another set of symbols, and in that variation, would that symbol mean placenta versus meaning town, nation, state? I said that. What was the problem with that?
Because it doesn't make sense. It
makes perfect sense, because if I put an A next to a B versus when I put an A next to a C, it makes a different sound. You see what I'm saying?
So
and it has different meanings. So how could that? How could you not make sense? How could that not make sense?
So you were more correlated with a ta probably. So when we look at the land sign,
with the who?
Ta.
With ta.
Ta. For ta means land.
I know what that means, but see, like I said, there's variations. There's variations though.
So
you said who?
You were more. Listen, brother. Listen. You will more correlate land, which is ta, to the 049 glyph, which determine which is district, opposed to a placenta.
No, I'm telling you.
Yes, you would.
I wouldn't, because. So what are you asking me? You telling me what I'm thinking, or you asking me what I'm thinking?
Land? Is district not land?
Are you? Hold on. I'm asking you. Are you telling me what I'm thinking, or are you asking me what I'm thinking when I tell you about the enclosed circle with an X? Because I went over this before I even got into this point. When I first came up here, I told you that. I told you that the land hieroglyph is different from the city and district hieroglyph when you see the word Kemet, because they have a separate hieroglyph. They have a separate symbol.
Well, actually.
So you're not going to come back and mix in placenta and then ask me and try to force me into a nah. It doesn't work like that, bro. Like I said, it's only two things to take away from this.
But I'm correcting you. Listen.
You're not correcting anything, bro. You're not correcting anything. You're not correcting anything. You're not correcting anything. You're not going to tell me what I think and what the master teachers teach. Just because the meta nature hasn't fully been deciphered, you're not going to tell me what a certain hieroglyphic means all of a sudden versus what they already were. We already had this debate too many times. So you're not going to rehab it right here, and you're not correcting me on anything right here, bro. You're not correcting me on anything right here. I make content based on what we talking about, bro. You don't make. Have you made content on this? Have you put content out on this that people can look at and see it?
Right
no,
now,
you don't.
Right now on the spot with you, so we can.
No. So there's a difference between arguing live and bickering live versus making content.
So what I won't do is be just over talked on a show that I'm doing a presentation on, Tootie. So if you want, we can do we can say up to 2 minutes, so that you can have 2 minutes to speak uninterrupted and get out anything that you want to get out, and then we can possibly go for a 30-second back and forth, to whereas we could do a question and answer amongst each other. We could do that, but I don't want to talk over you, to whereas if you're trying to get out a point that where I'm filibustering and cutting in the middle of your conversation, I don't want you to do that to me as well.
All right, so what I don't want to happen is you to invite me in on a live back and forth, and then you don't even make content about what you're saying. That doesn't make sense. I make content about what I'm saying that to back up what I'm saying right now. You see what I'm saying? And the master teachers do it. There's other people, even Sarah Seti has done it on the same hieroglyph that we're trying to, that you're trying to say you correcting me on. So it doesn't make sense for you to use somebody who translate the same thing that I'm translating in the same way and argue that the meta nature hasn't been fully translated yet. That doesn't make sense. And what reality are we living in if two things can be right, but at the same time another thing can be wrong? That don't make sense, bro.
You still got 30 seconds.
And like I said, an enclosed circle means something totally different, right? If it's accompanied by another hieroglyph, but that does not mean land and that hieroglyph in enclosed circle X means the same thing. And the only thing that we need to take away from this is that we need to move forward and have a working knowledge. And lastly, you don't need to fully know how to read meta-nature to teach about Kemet.
I'll give you an extra 30 seconds. Hey, you know how to speak meta-nature to teach on it? Go ahead. Oh, he left. He said what he had to say. He got off from the stage. I have some more questions for the brother. Like if you're still in the comment section, come back to the panel. Definitely have some more questions for you. I still have my two minutes. I actually still have a whole presentation. So here we go.
Don't decide, they're not able to decipher the symbols, and that's, I think this is being confused in the argument, and they mixing up the actual language or words with the meta, and so I think that's the issue. I'm not sure, but I think that's the issue. Mm-hmm. It seems like they're not being clear, absolutely clear with what's going on. You got some people using the word translated, and then the verse is deciphered, and it's just a bunch of confusion going on.
Yeah, transliteration and all that kind of, those are nice big words.
Yeah,
technical words. Mm-hmm. The average person that's in the average Joe Blow, he probably wouldn't know what you're talking about, which is okay. So I asked any individual. The bottom line is this: if you said that the hieroglyphics have been deciphered, I asked based on what?
Based on what? That's it right there. Well, something else came up not too long ago about King Tut, and they said that it was a study saying that his DNA is more common to Western men. Basically, I'm thinking they was trying to imply European. His DNA was more European than Sub-Saharan African.
Okay, fine.
You think that's accurate?
No. I'm gonna tell you why. If you bring your camera up and look at my shirt,
okay,
what does it say? This come from the front cover of Life magazine that was put out by Life magazine,
right?
Last February, in the February, March, and April magazine of Life magazine that came out last year, 2016. Okay. This is the picture of, it says King Tut, right?
It does.
Zero in on the statue, the face.
Yeah, I was looking at that myself. I was definitely looking at that.
So all you have to do is look at the face of King Tut, and that dispels that argument.
Yeah, that face right there, that looks like a black man right there.
That ain't no look like it.
That is a black man.
Hey, you don't have to say look like. No, I don't have to argue who my ancestors are with nobody. White folks, Africans, us folks, anybody. See? Mm-hmm. The mirror tells you who you are. Oh, you look in the mirror. The mirror, the image that's looking back at you in the mirror is telling you that you're descendant of the ancient Egyptian.
Well, you actually got a lot of people who actually argue against that, right? They say that we were taken and kidnapped from.
My brother, how are you today?
I'm all right.
That's good.
Okay, the panel is open. Done sharing these little videos. I'm going to share some more things I have for sure while we wait. So you're more than welcome to jump on and add to the conversation, add to the build. Any opinions on the videos that I have showed today? Questions on why you think that the meta-nature has been deciphered, or why you think that it maybe has not been deciphered. Either way, jump on. So I do want to share. My screen here.
Black Power, peace.
Peace. What's going on, Swell?
You got it, guy. You got it. Hey, can you pause the music? I can't hear you. It's loud as hell. I don't know if it's my phone.
There we go.
What's good, guy?
I can't call it. What's the word?
Hey, man. All due respect, we finna play Pseudo Effects because it's scheduled for Friday nights.
I'm running over. I know. Y'all ready now?
All right. Yeah, we ready now, brother.
All right, my bad.
All right, no problem. Thank you, God.
And that is the final word for tonight. We've gone into the depths of the meta-netter, we've challenged the scholars, and we've seen the Titans clash over the very essence of our ancestral tongue. Tonight wasn't just about winning the argument, it was about the pursuit of Makaru, the true voice. Whether you believe the code is cracked or the mystery remains, one thing is certain, the conversation doesn't end here. The search for truth is a marathon, not a sprint. For our debaters, thank you for bringing the heat and the receipts. To the audience, keep your eyes open and your mind sharper. Don't just take our words for it. Go back to the source, do the work, and find the divinity in the speech for yourselves. I'm your host, King J. This is the Titans Debate League, where the truth is the only crown worth wearing. Peace.